Hi, it's Lucy here, and I'm excited to share some fun masculine card designs with you today using these amazing new dies. There's a card idea for every guy, and I'll also be sharing some big discount codes for these dies too. So let's jump right into the first card. If you've got any basketball fans in your life, whether they're male, female, or even kids, these basketball dies are fantastic. And a quick tip, when the dies come attached, you can usually twist them apart pretty easily. But to remove that little metal attachment piece cleanly, just grab a pair of small pliers and you're good to go. Next up, I'm picking out a pattern paper with a wooden design. It gives that perfect gymnasium vibe for the background. And I'm using a rectangle die to cut it to fit my card front, but you can just as easily cut a rectangle to match your card's size. Now that I have all the elements ready, I'll run them through my electric die cutting machine. And this is my go-to when I have a lot of die cutting to do because its large cutting plate lets me cut multiple pieces at once. I'll show you how the electric die cutter works a couple of times just so you get a feel for it in case you haven't seen one of these before. And then I'll do the rest of the die cutting off screen as we have a lot of card making to get through today. As you can see, I only ran it through once and without a shim, and everything cut out beautifully, even the thick cardstock. I love doubling up on a lot of the elements to give the card a more polished professional finish. A single die cut can sometimes feel like paper stuck on paper, which it is, which leans a little bit too much into the homemade look. We want the recipient to know it's handmade, but still have that sleek professional touch. If you're working with thick cardstock or intricate dies, you might want to use the reverse function on the machine. Just press the arrow button and it will automatically send the cutting plates back through. A quick tip though is make sure to press the button before the plates have fully passed through, otherwise the reverse function won't work and you'll need to feed them through the front again. I'm cutting only the top bit of the basketball net and I'll attach this to the white net shortly. And now I have all my die cutting for this card. I can simply stick them all down. But as you know, I do love dimensions, so I'll bend the net and the basketballs before gluing them down. And for another version, I went with a white background instead of the wood for the second card option. And I'll show you both once this card is done. You can decide which one you like better. I'm adding a white layer under the sentiment, and you can also use the same color cardstock to stack them, which would look great too. Next, I'll roll the basketballs with my craft knife, and you can use a pen or a marker, anything smooth and tubular. And to keep the balls rounded, I'll add a foam hexagon in the middle of each one. I'll do the same with the net and just glue down the sides of the net. That way I can add a basketball dropping into the net. It creates a lot more interest than lying flat. And lots of you have said you'd like to see the comparison video between flat and dimensional, so I'll be doing that very soon as I have the perfect papers to use for it. I'm really excited. But first, I can't wait to share all these completely different dies and card designs with you all. A lot of you mentioned you struggle with cards for the men in your life, and I'm sure there's a card to suit everyone in this lot. I've added the 3 basketballs, but you could just use one if you like. I'll be using this die again in the future as I made a simple basketball card in the past and I loved how it turned out. I used a printout of a basketball, but I think it would look much nicer with this basketball die. And here's the 2 versions, very similar, just different papers. I made one of these for my nephew's 18th birthday this week, but my husband decided to stick it in his back pocket during a train trip in 37-degree heat. So let's just say it doesn't look quite the same now. What a schmuck. Good thing I'm forgiving. So for this next one, this is all you'll need for the next 2 cards, but feel free to dig through your stash and recreate something similar with what you have. If you're interested in any of the products I'm using today, you'll find all the links in the description box below. Isn't this beach PET tape amazing? I'm absolutely in love with it. I'm going to stick it onto white card and fussy cut around it. The backing can be a bit tricky to peel off, so I'm trying out my new sticky mat that's made specifically for this. And I wasn't completely sold on it the first time I used it, but now that I'm just getting the hang of it, it's actually really great and it only costs a couple of dollars too. I'm even going to be fussy cutting the wispy greenery from the tape, and I'll leave that part in for those interested, sharing a few tips along the way as well. So if fussy cutting isn't your thing, you can always use the tape as is, and I'll pop up on screen where I get to the next part in the video. When it comes to fussy cutting, I think the most important tool is a good pair of scissors. The ones I'm using have a diamond shaped tip, and it makes cutting intricate pieces much easier than with regular scissors. I've tested a lot of scissors over the years, and these are by far the best. You can see how smoothly they handle even the thinnest part of the image. And when I'm cutting around the shells, I don't stress too much about precision. I just wiggle the scissors a bit as I go to give them that natural wavy shell look. If there's any parts that I don't feel will be easy enough to cut out, I will just cut around them. No one will know that there's a piece missing. You could totally just cut off this greenery part here, but I just absolutely love it, and it really makes a difference sometimes at the end when you put it on a card, when it's got those intricate details. So I'm going to keep it in, and it's really not hard once you get the hang of it. Fussy cutting can be quite easy, and I absolutely love fussy cutting, so I understand that some people can't or don't like it, but I think it makes this little greenery part just really stand out. If you want to try out these scissors, I'll have a link to them in the description box below too. I'll cut the white bit off the bottom, and then we're done and ready to go. You can add this in a portrait style card or a landscape style, and I'll create a landscape and a portrait card today. I'll be creating the surfboards using some of this tape and the surfboard die set. I'm not sure if you'd call the tape PET or washi tape. It's a different style to both. I have this set of 6 colours, and I'll be using these in some of the other cards today too. I want to have a variation of the surfboards, so I'll use 2 of the tapes, and I'm just adding them to white card. This makes it quite thick, so it will need to go through the die cutting machine twice or to use a shim. I've die cut the surfboards from white card, and I've also die cut the sentiment twice. Everything will be double layered to give it that nice thick look. And while the glue dries, I'll pop the pieces under a heavy acrylic block. I've already attached a rectangle piece of white card to the card front for an extra layer, and it's not essential, but I love the added dimension that it gives. And before I stick anything down, I'll play around with the layout. I noticed the surfboards are a bit bright compared to the rest of the card, so I'll use some sandpaper on the edges and a little on top to tone them down. And then I'll shape the surfboards with my craft knife to give them a bit of dimension. And speaking of my craft knife, I've got some exciting news. I've had a lot of questions about it in the past, and it was kindly gifted to me, so I didn't have the details, but thanks to one of my lovely YouTube friends, Janine, I now know it's a classic X-Acto gripster knife. So big thanks to Janine. I'll include the name in the description box in case you're interested. And then I'm also going to add a bit of Distress Oxide ink in the Tumbled Glass shade. It's subtle, but I think it really pulls the whole card together. I love how these turn out. I won't stick down the front shell piece until last, so I can align everything else first. I need to trim the bottom of the green surfboard since it's hitting the foam tape. I've added a strip of foam adhesive just to the centres of the surfboards to help maintain their rounded edges and give them the dimension that I want. And I think these might be my favourite cards from today, though I do love them all. I hope you do too. Let me know in the comments if you have a favourite card or set from this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts and if you think they'd suit someone special in your life. The dies I'm using today are from Life's Craft Art. They're a relatively new company to me, but I've been really impressed so far. I'll definitely be using and sharing more of their products in the future. And Life's Craft Art is a sister company to In Love Arts, whose dies I also use frequently, which you'll know if you've been a subscriber for a while. They have their own designers, so you'll find tons of unique designs to choose from. And here's a little bonus. If you click on any of the Life's Craft Art dies linked in the video's description, you'll automatically get a 25% discount on their website just for coming through me. Isn't that great? Plus, any orders placed through these links help support my channel as I may receive a small commission, so thank you in advance if you're in the mood for a little retail therapy and choose to use my product links. And here are the finished cards. What do you think? Does the leafy fussy cutting stand out? Here are all the items I'm using for the next set of cards, and this set of 3 squiggly squares is so fun. I'll probably use them on some female cards soon too. But first, I'll roughly cut pieces of white card a little larger than my square dies. I'm making a Green Bay Packers birthday card for my brother-in-law, so I'll be using dark green and yellow for his card. And since the team is mostly green, I'll go with 4 green squares and 2 yellow ones for his card. With all the pattern on the front of the squares, I find it easiest to flip them over to see the cut lines clearly when removing the squares. And some of the squares have small holes too, and those are much easier to spot from the back side as well. I'll add all the squares to matching white ones for a bit of extra height. And I've just layered a black piece of card and now a smaller white piece on the card front. I used my stitched rectangle dies for these, which saves me from measuring. But you can definitely cut your rectangles to fit your card and they don't have to be exact. But my card is 10.5 by 14.8 centimeters, which is a standard size here in Australia. It's just a bit longer than the US sizes. I have rectangle dies that fit this size and you can find them at Uniquely Creative in the video's description. And for everyone else, I've included a link to similar rectangle dies at scrapbook.com that might suit your card size best. I'll add a sentiment and pop an acrylic block on it for the glue to dry flat and finish the Green Bay Packers card. And then we can take a look at both of them once finished. To give the card a real football vibe, I'm adding a couple of footballs using this 5-piece ball die set. I'll die cut the footballs from brown and white cardstock, then glue the white details onto the brown base. I'll double layer them and bend them slightly for a more authentic look. And if you're making cards for different teams, you can easily switch up the colours using different cardstock. What do you think of these squiggly square dies? I'm loving them and I can already see myself using them to create a variety of card styles. The squiggly square dies and the 5-piece ball die set are each $4.99 US, and that's before the discounts. Until January the 8th, there's a 28% discount code you can use. Feel free to take advantage of that instead of my usual code, but if you're watching this after January the 8th, you can still use my 25% off discount code. Plus, Life's Craft Art offers free international shipping on orders over $29 US as well, which is a great bonus. I decided the green cardstock was a better choice, so I've glued it over the top. I think the footballs look better at different angles. I didn't like them facing the same way. And then here are the 2 finished cards. The one on the left feels a bit artsy to me. Maybe the tape gives it that splattered look, especially with these dies. The football one was my son's favourite out of all the cards I made today. On to the next cards, and I'm using this adorable mini Polaroid frame banner die and the bubbly tape again. I'll add the tape to the bottom of the rectangle that will be the card front. And when putting the tape away, I like to trim the excess backing and leave just a little bit extra on the roll. It makes it easier to peel off the tape next time. And now I'll die cut the piece along with the sentiment and Polaroid frame die. A handy tool I always use is my craft eraser as well. It's great for removing marks left by the cutting plates on white card. I've had this eraser for over 10 years and it's been a lifesaver sometimes. I'll include a link so you can find one if you need it. I'm going to use the tape again and you'll see how much easier it is to peel off the backing now. I want to create little Polaroids with a bokeh effect, so I'll add the tape to white card and die cut it out. Then I'll place the individual Polaroid images into the black Polaroid frame and use double-sided tape on the back to keep everything together. I'll add a bit of height by slipping some scrap card under each Polaroid. I'm actually a bit impressed with how precise my cutting turned out this time. It's definitely not always the case. And once that's done, I'll glue the Polaroid banner to the card along with the double layered sentiment. And to finish it off, I'll use these sweet alpha stickers to add happy to the banner. You could also personalize it by adding the recipient's name in the Polaroids if it's 5 letters. How cute would that be? I'll add a dot to the eye with Nuvo drops rather than try to glue the tiny dot from the die. And on my next card, here's a little issue I found. I noticed a mark in the top right hand corner of the card that couldn't be erased. And so to cover it up, I'll add 3 black Nuvo drops in that spot, and problem solved, and no one will ever know. And here's the 2 cards side by side. With the dark green one, I added a black layer under the white sentiment to give it a shadow effect. I think it made it stand out more. I die cut black and green rectangles and die cut the sentiment from the center to save cardstock. I'll pop the negative piece back in so it's still even underneath the top white layer. And for this card, I used some gorgeous landscape PET tape. All the tapes and stickers I'm using today are from Journal Say, and you'll find links and a discount code to each product in the description box. I added the landscape tape to white card and die cut it with the Polaroid die as well, just like I did before. And this time the little Polaroids look like actual photos from a camping trip, don't they? I'll add my usual sentiment and the card is finished. I could have chosen a few of these stickers, aren't they adorable? I've already used some of these packs on other videos, but today I'll use the autumn style stickers, and I only need a couple of stickers to create 2 sets of Polaroid banners for the next card. And once again, I'll add the sticker to white card and move the Polaroid die around until I find the right little scenes. I'm absolutely in love with these little Polaroids. There's a similar version of this die that's a bit larger, and I'm definitely ordering it next time. I think combining both sizes on a card would look amazing. You definitely don't need to be as particular as I am when adding these little scenes. I'm just having way too much fun with it. I've die cut the Polaroid banner in black, white and silver. I want to mix it up and show a different way of using it. So I'll have the banner in black, then add the pegs and Polaroids in white and finish off with silver pegs. This adds more dimension and gives it extra interest with the different colours. What do you think? I'll add the 2 banners this time to the card, and I've already got some wooden pattern paper on the front of the card too. When I'm adding all the little photos inside the banner, I've found the best way to flatten them down is by using the other end of my pokey tool. If you have a wooden rub-on stick or something similar, that could work too. I'll add my usual sentiment, and here's another card using this cute little die. I also couldn't resist adding a little black Nuvo drop to each Polaroid as well. I'm not quite sure why, but I just felt like it needed a little something there. Have you got a favourite card yet? I still have 2 more to go, and these are really cute as well. When I say cute, really I mean manly. I've die cut this 2-piece set out of black and white cardstock. These dies feature a band playing and a crowd cheering, and I just love them. I'm making one of these cards for another brother-in-law whose birthday is also this month. I think it's great to create a bunch of birthday cards for men all at once, isn't it? I find it easier than doing one male card on its own. I think I must need to get into that headspace. These all came together in one day, so I must have been really feeling those masculine vibes. I've just created the card background using some of the multicolored bubble tape on top and black on the bottom half. And for the die cuts, I've glued the white pieces behind the black ones to make the silhouette stand out more. Without that white layer in between, you wouldn't see all the definition in the die cuts as clearly. And for fun, I'm doing a double crowd on this card. I'll use thin foam tape on the front row crowd and thicker foam tape on the back row. I'll also add glue along with the foam adhesive because I want to make sure I can move them around while placing them. The glue helps while it's still wet. I'll place the back crowd first and then add the front row in between the band and the back crowd. I found this really helped with the placement on the card. I had a few choices for sentiments, so I thought I'd share them in case you prefer a different one, and I really do like that first one that I showed, the sentiment die with the bubble tape on it. I also love this graffiti style sticker from my old stash, though it's no longer available. And then here's another card I made using this die set. For the background, I added 3 different coloured bubble tapes and just 1 row of the crowd. I used an old sentiment I printed from the computer a while back and finished it off with some black Nuvo drops. And here's the card I just made. Do you have a favourite? Have I sparked any new ideas for masculine cards? I hope so. Let's take a quick look at all the different themes and styles we've explored today. And one of my favourite things after posting a video is reading your comments and discovering which card you liked best. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It's one of the best ways to support my channel. And watching the whole video and sharing it with your crafting friends helps a lot too. And if you'd like to purchase any of the products I used today, check out the description box below. You'll find all the discount codes and product links there. I only create with gorgeous products from lovely companies, so you can be assured they'll take good care of you. And if you're interested in any of the dies, there's a 50% off discount for new customers. And if you're not a new customer to Life's Craft Art, you can use my special code Love by Paper for 25% off your order. But just click on any of the Life's Craft Art links below and the 25% off code will automatically pop up. It's that easy. Remember, there's also a 28% discount code available until January the 8th, which will show up at checkout. So you won't be able to use both codes. So just delete mine and use the 28% one instead if you're shopping before then. And thank you so much to everyone who uses my product links. These small commissions help me keep my YouTube channel going, along with the support from my husband working full-time too. I feel like I know so many of you now. It's so lovely to recognize names in the comments and know you enjoy my videos. I absolutely love card making, and you could probably tell that. And I have so many new ideas for 2025. And I'll also be celebrating my 20,000th subscriber very soon, and you won't want to miss that video. I have hundreds of dollars to give away thanks to the incredibly generous companies I love creating with, but I can't say more just yet, so make sure you're subscribed. And if you need more mail card inspiration, click on this upcoming thumbnail. It's full of great ideas. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting and Happy New Year. I hope it's a wonderful year for you with good health and lots of creating and fun. But that's it from me until the next video. Bye for now.